The envelope had no return address, just Bruce Lee's name, written in perfect Chinese calligraphy. Inside, 5 words that would have terrified most men: stop teaching or face consequences. It was signed with a red stamp, the mark of the Sun Yi on Triad. Bruce Lee read it twice, set it down calmly, and did something that made his students think he'd lost his mind. He asked for directions to their headquarters. Oakland, California, November 1964. The Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute sits above a grocery store on Broadway Street, second floor walk-up with creaking wooden stairs and a simple painted sign. 3 rooms, training hall, small office, storage closet converted to changing area, nothing fancy. Nothing that would suggest the revolution happening inside those walls. But word has spread through Oakland's Chinese community like wildfire. Bruce Lee, this young Chinese kid from Hong Kong, is teaching kung fu to white people, to black people, to Filipinos, Japanese, Mexicans, anyone willing to learn. He's breaking the most sacred rule of traditional Chinese martial arts: secrecy. For centuries, kung fu masters guarded their techniques like state secrets, passed them only to Chinese students, often only to family members, never to outsiders. The logic was simple and absolute. These were Chinese fighting arts, developed over thousands of years, belonging to Chinese people, protecting Chinese culture. Teaching them to foreigners was betrayal, selling out your heritage, giving weapons to potential enemies. Bruce Lee doesn't care about these rules. He teaches 3 classes a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. His students include James Yim Lee, a Chinese-American welder built like a tank; Jesse Glover, a black judoka who moves like water despite weighing 200 pounds; Ed Hart, a white construction worker with fast hands and faster questions; Steve Golden, a Jewish accountant tired of being pushed around. They come from different worlds but share one thing: hunger to learn real fighting, not performance, not tradition, not mystical nonsense, just what works when someone actually tries to hurt you. And this is exactly what makes Bruce Lee dangerous to the old guard. The letter arrives on a Wednesday morning. Bruce is alone in the school, arrives early to practice, works on his wooden dummy, the rhythmic thwack 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 echoing through empty rooms. He's refining a trapping sequence, trying to shave milliseconds off the transition, when he hears footsteps on the stairs. Slow footsteps, deliberate, not the eager rush of students arriving early. Bruce stops, listens, positions himself where he can see the door. Old habit: always know your exits, always give yourself options. The door doesn't open. Instead, something slides underneath. White envelope, expensive paper too formal for junk mail. It sits there on the worn wooden floor like a snake. Bruce waits 30 seconds. No other sound. Whoever delivered it is already gone. Professional, knows how to move quietly. He picks up the envelope. His name written in traditional Chinese calligraphy. Beautiful brushwork, the kind you learn from masters, the kind that takes years to perfect. No address, no postage, hand-delivered. Bruce opens it carefully. Single sheet of rice paper inside. Same elegant calligraphy. Li Junfan, you dishonor your ancestors and betray your people by teaching sacred Chinese arts to foreign devils. This is your only warning. Close your school. Stop teaching non-Chinese immediately, or face consequences. There will be no second warning. At the bottom, pressed in red ink, the mark of the Sun Yi Triad. Bruce reads it twice, not because he doesn't understand, but because he's processing the implications, the weight of what this means. The Sun Yi is one of the largest Chinese organized crime syndicates in the world, with roots going back to 17th century China, branches in Hong Kong, Taiwan, San Francisco, Vancouver, anywhere Chinese communities exist. They're not street thugs. They're a sophisticated organization that controls everything from gambling and protection rackets to legitimate businesses, bound by ancient codes of loyalty and honor. And they're telling Bruce Lee to stop teaching. Most people would close the school immediately. Bruce Lee does something completely different. That evening, students arrive for class as usual. Bruce teaches normally, warming up, drilling techniques, sparring, but Jesse Glover notices something different in Bruce's energy, a coiled intensity beyond the usual focus. After class, when most students have left, Jesse hangs back. So does James Lee. They've been training with Bruce long enough to read his moods. Something happened today? Jesse asks directly. No point dancing around with Bruce. He respects directness. Bruce shows them the letter. James Lee's face goes pale. Sun Yi Anshamp, this is serious. These aren't people you ignore. I'm not ignoring them, Bruce says calmly. I'm going to talk to them. Jesse's eyes widen. Talk to them? Brother, they don't talk. They send messages. Usually permanent ones. Then I'll deliver a message back, Bruce says. He's already made his decision. They can see it in his posture, the set of his jaw. James switches to Cantonese, speaking rapidly, trying to make Bruce understand the danger. The Triads don't make idle threats. They have enforcers, men trained in traditional kung fu, men with no hesitation about violence, men who've killed before. Going to their headquarters alone is suicide. Bruce responds in Cantonese, voice quiet but absolute. If I close the school because of threats, I prove them right. I prove that what I'm teaching should be secret, should be only for Chinese. I prove that I'm afraid, and the moment I show fear, they own me. They'll kill you, James says flatly. Maybe, Bruce acknowledges. But probably not immediately. They gave me a warning. That means they're following protocol, showing respect for process. So I'll follow protocol too. I'll go to them, show respect, explain my position. Face to face, the old way. Jesse shakes his head slowly. Man, you got more courage than sense. Courage is doing what's right even when you're afraid. Bruce says, I'm terrified, Jesse. My hands are shaking right now. He holds them up, steady as stone, doesn't even tremble. But I spent my whole life learning how to control fear, how to function through it. This is just another fight. Different kind, same principles. The next morning, Bruce Lee puts on his best black suit, combs his hair carefully, and asks James Lee for directions to the Sun Yeon headquarters. The headquarters is in San Francisco's Chinatown, a 3-story building on Waverly Place that looks like a traditional Chinese association hall from outside. Red pillars, gold trim, ornate balconies, lion statues flanking the entrance. Legitimate front, behind the scenes, different story. James drives Bruce there but won't go inside. This is crazy, Bruce. Last chance to walk away. I don't walk away, Bruce says simply. You taught me that. First day we met you said real martial artists don't retreat from challenges. This is a challenge. I meant in the gym, not against the damn triads. Bruce smiles faintly. Fear is the same whether you're fighting 1 man or 5. Same adrenaline, same doubts. I've trained my whole life for moments when I'm scared but have to act anyway. This is just a different ring. He gets out of the car. 1 p.m. on a Thursday. Chinatown is busy. Tourists, shoppers, merchants hawking vegetables and roasted ducks. The air smelling like soy sauce and incense. Nobody pays attention to the young Chinese man in a black suit walking into an association hall. Bruce climbs the stairs. Worn marble, dragon murals on walls, smell of sandalwood getting stronger as he ascends. At the 2nd floor landing, there's a heavy wooden door, closed, 2 men standing guard. They're big, not bodybuilder big, but fighter big, compact, muscular, hands scarred from years of iron palm training, eyes that have seen violence and delivered it. Traditional kung fu enforcers. Bruce stops 3 feet away, bows formally, speaks in Cantonese. I am Li Junfan. I received a letter from the Honorable Society. I have come to respond in person, as is proper. The guards exchange glances. This is not normal. People who receive triad warnings don't show up at headquarters. They either comply or disappear. They don't request meetings. One guard says, "Wait here," disappears through the door. Bruce stands, waits, breathing steady, heart pounding but controlled. This is the moment where training becomes real. All those hours meditating, managing adrenaline, staying present in fear. Now it matters. The guard returns. They will see you, but you will be searched. Of course, Bruce says. They pat him down professionally, thoroughly check for weapons, wires, anything. Find nothing. Bruce came with only his body and his words. The door opens. Bruce Lee walks into the headquarters of one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the world. The room is exactly what you'd expect from a triad inner sanctum. Dark mahogany furniture, heavy table, ornate chairs with dragon carvings, altar against far wall with incense burning, offering fruit and rice wine. Red lanterns provide low lighting, calligraphy scrolls on walls, Sun Tzu, Confucius, ancient proverbs about loyalty and honor. Thick cigarette smoke hangs in air like fog. 5 men sit around the table, all middle-aged or older, all wearing expensive dark suits or traditional silk jackets, all watching Bruce with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. The man at the head of the table is clearly the leader. 60s, gray hair slicked back, face like carved teak, eyes that have seen everything, hands resting calmly on table, jade ring on right hand, dragon tattoo visible on left wrist. His name is Wang Jackman, and he's a legend in San Francisco's Chinatown, kung fu master, businessman, triad administrator, man who commands respect through reputation and fear. Li Junfan, Wang says, voice like gravel smoothed by water. You have courage, I'll give you that. Stupid courage. Bruce bows formally. Honorable masters, I come to speak with respect but also with clarity. I received your letter. I understand your concerns, but I cannot comply with your demand. The room temperature drops 10 degrees. One of the men, younger, maybe 40s, lean and dangerous looking, half rises from his chair. Cannot? You cannot? Wang raises one hand slightly. The man sits back down immediately. Explain, Wang says simply. Bruce speaks carefully, choosing words like a chess player choosing moves. The traditional way, keeping kung fu secret, teaching only Chinese, protecting ancient knowledge. I understand this way. My own teacher in Hong Kong, Yip Man, follows this way. I respect it deeply. But, Wang knows there's a but coming. But I believe the traditional way is dying. Not because foreigners are learning kung fu. They can't learn it properly without Chinese masters. It's dying because Chinese masters refuse to evolve, refuse to test their techniques against reality, refuse to admit when something doesn't work. The lean man explodes. You dare. Wang cuts him off with a look. Continue, he tells Bruce. Bruce takes a breath. This is the dangerous part. I teach foreigners because I want to prove Chinese martial arts are superior. But to prove it, I have to test it. I have to let my students fight boxers, wrestlers, karate men, anyone. And if kung fu loses, I have to ask why, change what doesn't work, keep what does. This is how martial arts stay alive, through evolution, not preservation. You're teaching them to fight Chinese. Another man says coldly. I'm teaching them to fight anyone who attacks them. Bruce corrects, including other foreigners, criminals, racists. Jesse Glover, one of my students, is black. Do you know how many times he's been jumped by white gangs? Ed Hart is Jewish. Same story. I teach them to survive, same as any Sifu teaches his students. Wang leans back, fingers steepled. Pretty words. But you break tradition. You dishonor the masters who came before. Do I? Bruce's voice sharpens slightly. Or do I honor them by making sure kung fu survives into the next century? In 50 years, will anyone care about traditional kung fu if it's locked away in closed schools, taught only to old men who won't test it? Or will they care if kung fu evolves, proves itself, becomes something the whole world respects? The lean man slams his hand on the table. Respect? You want white people to respect kung fu? You're a traitor. I want everyone to respect kung fu, Bruce says firmly, because when they respect kung fu, they respect Chinese culture. They respect us. Wang studies Bruce for a long moment. You're young, idealistic. You don't understand how the world works. We keep kung fu secret, not because we're afraid of sharing it, because we're afraid of what happens when foreigners learn to use our own weapons against us. Then we make better weapons. Bruce says simply, we evolve, we improve, we stay ahead. Hiding doesn't make us safe, it makes us stagnant. The room is silent, except for the crackling of incense. Then Wang says something that changes everything. Show me. Bruce Lee wasn't expecting that. Show you what? Bruce asks carefully. Show me this evolution you talk about. Show me how your way is better than traditional way. Wang stands, walks to corner of room where training equipment is stored, wooden dummy, practice swords, iron rings for conditioning. He gestures to the dummy. Traditional wooden dummy. Every kung fu school has one. You know the forms, yes? I've practiced them 10,000 times, Bruce says. Then show me traditional way first. Bruce removes his jacket, hangs it carefully on a chair, rolls up his sleeves, approaches the dummy. The wooden dummy is a training tool older than anyone in the room. Vertical post with 3 wooden arms protruding, one leg at bottom, designed to simulate fighting multiple opponents, practicing blocks and strikes, building muscle memory. Bruce performs the traditional form. Perfect technique. Classical Wing Chun. Movements his Sifu Yip Man would recognize immediately. Pak Sao, Tan Sao, Fuk Sao. The rhythm and flow of 200 years of refinement. Beautiful to watch. Precise. Powerful. He finishes, bows to the dummy in traditional way. Good. Wong says neutrally. Very good, traditional, proper. Now show me your way. Bruce's entire demeanor changes. The classical stance disappears. He doesn't bow, doesn't prepare, just explodes. What happens next is almost too fast to follow. Bruce hits the dummy with techniques that don't exist in traditional Wing Chun, side kicks borrowed from karate, spinning back fists from kung fu, but delivered with boxing rhythm, trapping sequences that flow directly into Western boxing combinations, footwork that looks more like a fencer than a traditional martial artist. The dummy shakes violently. The sound is different. Sharper impacts, faster rhythm, unpredictable timing. Traditional forms have predictable patterns. This has no pattern, just pure efficiency, every movement designed to cause maximum damage with minimum telegraph. 15 seconds. That's how long it takes Bruce to demonstrate the difference. He steps back, barely breathing hard. Traditional way is beautiful, refined, perfect for demonstration, but in real fight against real opponent who's trying to kill you, you don't have time for beauty. You need speed, directness, economy of motion. You need what works, not what looks good. The lean man stands up slowly. Big talk. Show me on a person, not a wooden dummy. Wong says quietly, Lao don't. But Locke is already moving, shrugging off his jacket, rolling his shoulders. I've studied Hung Gar for 30 years, traditional way. If your evolution is so superior, prove it. 3 exchanges, first person to land clean hit wins. Bruce knows this is the real test. The other men push the table aside. Clear space. This room has seen challenge matches before. The scuff marks on the floor tell that story. Lao takes traditional Hung Gar stance, wide horse stance, fists chambered at hips, weight low and rooted, the kind of stance that can take punishment, designed for power over speed. He's 40 pounds heavier than Bruce, arms thick from years of iron ring training, face scarred from old fights. Bruce doesn't take a stance, just stands naturally, hands loose, weight on balls of feet, ready to move in any direction. Begin, Wong says quietly. Loe doesn't rush, moves forward carefully, testing, throws a traditional straight punch, telegraphed, powerful, the kind that would break ribs if it landed. Bruce isn't there, moved 6 inches, let the punch pass, his own hand shoots out, not a punch, an open palm strike to Lao's extended arm, redirecting it, flowing into a trapping position, his other hand already moving toward Lao's face, stopping 1 inch from his nose. Wong says. Lao's face flushes. He backs up, resets. That was too fast, too direct. He needs to be smarter. Second exchange. Lao feints high, drops low for a sweep kick. Traditional technique, powerful, should knock anyone off balance. Bruce sees it coming before Lao commits. Lifts his front foot slightly, lets the sweep pass under, stomps down toward Lao's knee, stops short, doesn't injure. His hand already at Lao's throat. 2, Wong says. Lar is breathing hard now, not from exertion, from the shock of being completely outclassed. 30 years of training, and he can't touch this kid, can't even come close. Third exchange. Law throws everything, combination attack, punches, and grabs, and attempts to close distance. Traditional Hung Gar power, the kind of assault that would overwhelm most fighters. Bruce doesn't block, doesn't meet force with force. Just moves, slips the first punch, redirects the second, steps inside the grab. His knee comes up, stops short of Law's groin. His elbow swings toward Law's jaw, stops 1 inch away. Could have ended the fight 3 different ways in 2 seconds. 3, Wong says quietly. Enough. Law stands there, breathing heavy, staring at Bruce Lee like he's seeing a ghost. How? Law says finally, not angry anymore, just confused. Lost. I trained for 30 years. How do you move like that? Bruce's voice is gentle now. Teaching mode. not fighting mode. You trained in one style for 30 years. I trained in 5 styles for 15 years, then threw away everything that didn't work. Your techniques are powerful, brother, but they're designed for fights from 200 years ago. I fight for today. He helps lob up bows respectfully. Your skill is real. Your dedication is real. I'm not saying traditional way is worthless. I'm saying it's incomplete. That's why I teach everyone, Chinese or not. Because when Chinese martial arts fight the world, we learn what works. We get better. We prove we're better. Wang has been watching silently. Now he speaks, voice thoughtful. You said your students fight boxers, wrestlers. They win. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, Bruce says honestly. When they lose, I ask why. Is it their skill or is it the technique? If it's the technique, I change it. That's evolution. And when they win, Bruce smiles. When they win, everyone asks, what style is that? And my students say Chinese martial arts, adapted by Bruce Lee. They don't say it's better because I kept it secret. They say it's better because it proved itself in real fighting. Wang walks to the altar, pours 2 cups of tea from the ceremonial pot, hands one to Bruce. This is significant. Offering tea is offering respect, acknowledging equality. I was sent by the elders in Hong Kong, Wang says quietly. They heard about you teaching foreigners. They wanted you stopped, sent me to deliver the message, enforce it if necessary. And now, Bruce asks. Wang sips his tea thoughtfully. Now I will tell them, I delivered the message, and I will tell them, Li Junfan explained his reasoning. And I will tell them, he pauses, choosing words carefully. I will tell them, perhaps the world is changing. Perhaps holding too tight to the old ways will kill Kung Fu faster than sharing it. Law speaks up, voice rough. You really think foreigners will respect Kung Fu if they learn it? They already do, Bruce says. Jesse Glover tells everyone who asks that Chinese martial arts saved his life, gave him confidence, taught him discipline. Ed Hart brings his son to watch classes, wants his boy to learn from Chinese masters. They don't see Kung Fu as exotic mystery. They see it as proven, practical, real. That's deeper respect than mystique. One of the other men, who hasn't spoken yet, leans forward. But what if they use it against us? He asks. What if white people learn Kung Fu and use it to hurt Chinese? Bruce sets down his teacup. Brother, white people already hurt us. Immigration laws, job discrimination, race riots. They don't need Kung Fu to hurt us. They have the law, the police, the whole system. But when we teach them Kung Fu, when we show them Chinese culture, Chinese philosophy, Chinese strength, some of them change. Not all, but some. And those some start to see us as human beings, not just cheap labor or foreign devils. He looks around the room, meeting each man's eyes. I'm not naive. I know teaching foreigners won't end racism, but I know from my own students, Jesse respects Chinese culture now because he respects his Sifu. Ed brings his family to Chinatown for dinner, supports Chinese businesses, because Kung Fu connected him to this community. That's not much, but it's something. It's a start. Wang sets down his own cup with finality. Li Junfan, I came here today expecting to threaten you into compliance. Instead, you walked into our headquarters alone, faced 5 Triad members, fought my best man, and gave me something to think about. He extends his hand. Western gesture. Acknowledgement that Bruce moves between worlds. I will not ask you to close your school, but I ask one thing. Teach your foreign students respect for where Kung Fu comes from. Teach them history, philosophy, tradition. Don't just give them techniques. Give them context. Bruce shakes his hand firmly. Sifu Wang, I promise every student learns about Yip Man, about Wing Chun lineage, about Shaolin Temple, about Chinese culture. Fighting techniques are easy to teach. Respect takes longer, but I teach both. Wang nods slowly, then does something that shocks everyone in the room. He bows to Bruce, not a casual nod, a formal bow, the kind you give to an equal, to someone who has earned respect. You have courage, Li Junfan, and wisdom beyond your years. The elders sent me to silence you. Instead, you have given me much to think about. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps evolution is survival. The other men stand, one by one, and bow as well. Even Lao, who Bruce just defeated, bows with genuine respect. There will be others who disagree, Wang says. other traditional masters who will challenge you. Can you handle that? Bruce smiles faintly. I've been handling it since I started teaching. This won't be the last challenge, but I'll meet each one the same way, with respect, with skill, and with belief that what I'm doing is right. As Bruce Lee walks out of the Sun Yeon headquarters, something has fundamentally changed. James Lee is still waiting outside, pacing nervously, chain smoking. When he sees Bruce emerge from the building, alive, uninjured, walking calmly, he nearly collapses with relief. What happened? James demands. I heard shouting. I almost came in. We talked, Bruce says simply. I showed them what I teach. They understood. They understood? The Triads understood and just let you walk away? Bruce gets in the car. Not just walked away. Wang Jackman is going to tell the elders in Hong Kong that maybe the old way isn't the only way. Won't change their minds completely, but it plants a seed. James drives in shocked silence for several blocks. Finally, you fought someone in there, didn't you? Sparred. 3 exchanges, against Hungar Master, 30 years experience. And he learned that 30 years of one style can't compete with 15 years of evolution. He didn't like the lesson, but he respected it. James pulls over, looks at Bruce directly. Do you understand what you just did? You walked into the Triad headquarters, fought one of their enforcers, challenged their entire worldview, and walked out alive. That's not possible. It's possible when you're not afraid to die for what you believe, Bruce says quietly. I went in there knowing they could kill me, knowing I might not walk out. But I also knew that if I backed down, if I closed the school because of threats, I'd be proving them right. I'd be saying Chinese martial arts should stay hidden, should stay weak, should stay afraid of the world. You're either the bravest person I know or the craziest. Probably both, Bruce admits with a small smile. But Jesse said it best last night. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting in spite of fear. I was terrified every second in that room. My heart was pounding. My hands wanted to shake. But I've spent my entire life training to control fear, to function through it. Today was just another test. That night, Bruce teaches class as usual. His students notice nothing different, same drills, same intensity, same teaching. They have no idea their Sifu spent the afternoon facing down the Triad. But after class, Bruce gathers them together. I want you to know something. The path we're on teaching Kung Fu to everyone, regardless of race. Some people in the Chinese community hate this, think it's betrayal. They've sent threats. They'll probably send more. The students exchange nervous glances. I'm not telling you this to scare you, Bruce continues. I'm telling you because you deserve to know if you want to leave. If this is too dangerous, I understand. No judgment. No hard feelings. Nobody moves. Jesse Glover speaks first. Sifu, you taught me that real martial arts isn't about fighting in the gym. It's about fighting for what's right. You're fighting for what's right. We're with you. A.D. Hart nods. You stood up to the Triad alone today. Yeah, James told us. You think we're gonna abandon you now? One by one, every student commits. They're not just learning techniques anymore. They're part of something bigger. A revolution in how martial arts are taught, how cultures share knowledge, how fear can be overcome with courage. 3 months later, Bruce receives another letter. This one from Hong Kong, from Yip Man himself. His old Sifu writes, I heard about your meeting with the Sun Yeon. I heard you walked in alone and earned their respect. I do not agree with all your methods, Jun Fan. I still believe tradition has value, but I am proud of your courage. You faced death to defend your beliefs. That is the true spirit of martial arts. Not the techniques we teach, but the strength to stand for something when standing is dangerous. The letter continues. The elders remain divided. Some call you a traitor. Others call you a visionary. I call you my student, stubborn, unconventional, difficult but sincere in your search for truth. Continue your path, but never forget where that path began. Bruce frames the letter, hangs it in his office, a reminder that evolution doesn't mean abandoning roots, it means growing from them. Within 2 years, the Zhen Fan Kung Fu Institute expands. More students, more classes, more proof that Chinese martial arts can hold their own against any style, any system, anyone. Word spreads through martial arts communities worldwide. There's this Chinese guy in Oakland teaching a hybrid style, fighting everyone, proving technique over tradition, and he walked into Triad headquarters alone and walked out with their respect. Students travel from across America to learn from him. Some are Chinese, honoring the tradition. Most are not, proving the evolution. And years later, when Bruce Lee becomes world famous, when his movies spread Chinese martial arts across the globe, when millions of people worldwide practice kung fu with deep respect for Chinese culture, it all traces back to moments like this. The moment he chose courage over compliance, evolution over preservation, belief over fear. Wang Jackman never publicly admitted what happened that day, but privately, he tells other Triad leaders, "I went to silence a rebel. I found a warrior. There's a difference." And sometimes, late at night in Chinatown tea houses, old kung fu masters tell the story of the day. Bruce Lee walked into the dragon's den, armed only with his skill, his words, and his absolute refusal to back down. They tell it as a warning to young students who think bravado is courage. They tell it as inspiration to old masters who think change is betrayal. But mostly, they tell it as truth, that real strength isn't about who you can defeat. It's about what you're willing